Well, hello, good evening, and welcome to the program. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV, your go-to destination for everything politics, policy, and governance. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Let's kick things off with today's interesting political developments. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, has summoned the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, over alleged anti-party activities. Wike, a former Rivers State governor, has been at odds with the party leadership since last year's presidential primary election. The summons follows Wike's public criticism of PDP and perceived support for the All Progressive Congress. Reacting to this development, the Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Ibrahim Abdullahi, says the former Rivers State governor has been sent a letter to appear before the party's disciplinary committee.
So you led us into that crisis. Then at the end of the day, party was polarized. Crisis everywhere. We managed to survive that era. Factions in every part of the party. In Edo, he has Danobi them creating crisis. In Cross River, he has Sandiomo them creating crisis. There's no part of Nigeria that didn't have faction. In Ekiti, he has Fayoshe them. One man against one political party in pursuit of an ambition that we later realize it was about him to be president or vice president.
Member of the House of Representatives on the platform of the PDP there, Honorable Ikenga Ugochinyere, speaking on developments within the PDP, especially in relation to that summons by the PDP disciplinary committee to the former governor of Rivers State and Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. Moving on, Bill Gates, the co-chair of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, says Nigeria has the second highest rate of food insecurity in the world. Bill Gates disclosed this while speaking on the state of nutrition in Nigeria and the African continent. He says arable lands have disappeared due to climate change, which has resulted in skyrocketing prices of food, a situation that makes things worse. And now to our hot topic for the program tonight. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and the PDP's presidential candidate in the 2023 elections has called on the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation Limited to be listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange amid ongoing controversy over the alleged privatization of the Warri and Kaduna refineries. Atiku's call comes as NNPC admits to financial struggles that hinder its ability to import petrol, despite reporting a 28% rise in annual net profit totaling about $2.1 billion. Nigeria is projected to spend 5.4 trillion naira this year to maintain fixed petrol prices, with the government likely needing to borrow to cover budget gaps. But by July, NNPC's debt to oil traders had exceeded $6 billion, raising concerns of a potential petrol hike due to supply shortages. Currently, the NNPCL retail outlets in Abuja sell petrol at a subsidized rate of 617 naira per litre, leading to long queues, while private outlets charge somewhere above 700 naira per litre, with some nearing 1,000 naira. Now, to help us navigate some of these issues tonight and understand why we are where we are at the moment, join us on Daily Politics is the IPMAN President, that is the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria. The President, Abubakar Maigandi Shatima, is joining us virtually alongside Public Affairs Analyst, Mr. Jide Ojo. Gentlemen, good evening to both of you, and thank you so much for joining us on Daily Politics.
It's my pleasure.
Let me start. I would have loved to start the conversation this way. Mr. Jide Ojo, clearly this is something that we're all too familiar with. The uncertainty within the petroleum sector, for instance, has been on for the better part of the last 2 decades. Give me your thoughts, your reactions with some of the revelations we've been hearing, especially from the NNPCL.
What's that? It's a very what NNPCL has been telling us is really very confusing. Whether we should I really don't know what to make of it. They are saying that they are indebted to the tune of 6 billion naira. They're having financial constraints and all of that. But you ask yourself, in one breath, they say they are making profit, and then in another breath, they are owing so much. It's a very confusing and convoluted oil and gas system we run in Nigeria. And as you said in the background, nobody can really put his finger on exactly what is going on. Let me not say we. I do know that this whole petroleum subsidy removal thing is without fixing the refineries and having a refinery like that of Dangote coming on board will be counterproductive. And that's exactly what has happened. 1 year after this administration came to power, we have seen that with the removal of subsidy and the floating of the naira, things have gone from bad to worse. Rather than the situation improving, it seems to be worsening. And no thanks to the fact that we still have to depend on fuel importation. I think that's the whole story for me. I may not be, I'm not an energy expert, but from my own layman's opinion, in as much as we continue to import this refined petroleum product, we will continue to have this dislocation, we will continue to have this shortage in supplies, we will continue to have this indebtedness, because this is a crude oil that is explored from our backyard there in Nigeria, exported abroad, refined, and then you bring it back. And we know the exchange rate of the naira is such that today maybe is about 1,600 naira to a dollar. So when you import products, you just have to sell at a cost recovery sum of money. So even those who are selling, I read on social media a lady that bought fuel for ₦930 in Lagos today. That may not have been officially endorsed, but I still believe that that is even conservative estimate compared to if we are to pay the actual prices, the price that if you had the landing cost and then the cost of transportation to the hinterland to the last consumer, what energy experts have told us is that we should be buying at well over 1,000 naira per liter as of now, which means that, but for that subsidy that the president removed, perhaps the amount that we will have had to cover to buy will have been a lot higher. But to me, unless we fix the refinery or we sell them off and give Dangote the maximum crude that it needs to operate at we can then subsidize the amount that Dangote should sell, in which case we will not need to import fuel. Good enough that they now said that the joint venture partners should sell crude to Dangote at naira, using naira as a denominator, not dollar, because having to denominate the sale of crude oil to Dangote in dollar means he will also have to sell at a cost recovery rate, which means that even if he has the full complement of the crude oil he wants, we will not be able to have it in an affordable manner that will be at the price that many Nigerians expected that it should be, which is well within around 500 to 600 naira per liter.
Right. Okay. We'll circle back to the importation challenge as well as local refineries and some of the assets that we do have that have become moribund for the most part of the last 3 decades or so. But let me bring in the industry player in the conversation, Abdullahi Maigandi, into the conversation. Help us understand this perceived confusion, as aptly put by Mr. Jide Ojo. What is actually going on here?
Well, in fact, I don't think there is any confusion as far as we independent petroleum marketers is concerned, because our major concern is we are not the part of the people who are bringing product to the country, but we heavily rely on the importation of the NNPC. Provided that the product is available, we load the product and discharge it in our filling stations.
Yeah, I mean, I say confusion, obviously, because of what Jide Ojo pointed out earlier, the contradiction that NNPC wants Nigeria to believe that it is able to make profit. Now we understand that it is indebted to marketers to the tune of 6 billion. And over the past few months, we have talked about on this platform and many other platforms how you still have your money with the NNPCL. So help us understand, because NNPC is explaining to Nigerians that this is one of the reasons why we have long queues, because of this indebtedness and the supply challenges that they continue to face. So that is the note that I want you to help us understand.
But you know what the NNPC talk about is about the indebtedness. They didn't talk about the availability of the product. Provided that the product is available at the higher sea, that is at the Mosa vessels, then automatically we doesn't have any issue. They didn't say that there is scarcity or they doesn't have product. So that is where the problem is. But if the product is available, it's just an issue of indebtedness, then that one, as a business person, everybody sometimes he may face challenges of being indebtedness.
Yeah. So why is it not available then? If you can explain it to Nigerians from your understanding of the situation, from your relationship with the NNPC, what your colleagues in the business are telling you, why is there a shortage within the sector?
Yes, actually, that is what we are trying to confirm through the NNPC. Have they have the availability of the product? And up to now, what they are telling us, they have the product available. So actually, since the product is available,
All right. I guess there's a lot more to unpack there, especially with the Dangote refinery in the conversation. But bringing it back to Jide Ojo, just a couple of weeks ago, the federal government talked about foregoing access to its dividends with NNPC just to keep the oil prices at an affordable rate. And now, you know, the more the NNPC talks to Nigerians through its various channels of communication, the less we actually understand the confusion within that particular industry. What do you have to say about the perceived lack of transparency and accountability, and why it may be connected to this whole quagmire that we're in right now? I mean, we are the 11th largest producer of crude oil, and most of the countries on that list, on the top 10 list or top 15 list, don't have the same challenge that Nigeria has. What is your understanding of the conundrum here?
Well, my understanding, you know, we independent petroleum marketers, we are business partner to the NNPCL, and we cannot say we all what we are after. Is this product available? And up to now, the NNPCL didn't say that the product is not available. So actually, since they say the product is not available, what we are just waiting, let them give us the product, so that we can discharge it in our tank pumps and start loading. So that is just what we are after.
Yeah, but is that suggestive of this whole situation being artificially created then by the players within the industry, people like independent marketers, for instance?
No, look, we independent petroleum marketers, there is no way we can be able to hold or to keep the product on sale inside the filling station. We cannot do that. But the only thing what I've been telling you, whatever supply we get through the NNPC, we normally discharge it in our filling station and sell. So the only thing that we can say, most of the product is being supplied to the private depot owners. And that is the major challenges that we are having in most of the cases. Because these private depot owners, they normally change the price and sell it at any rate to our marketers. So that is the challenges. And that is the reason why you have been seeing differences in rate. But we are still collaborating with the NNPC. They should be giving us our product direct, since we have the highest numbers of retail outlets in the country.
Good point there, and I think we need to double down on that. But Mr. Jidojo, just before the IPMAN president chimed in on that question, you were about to say something, because I was actually directing that question towards you. So what are your thoughts about, the conundrum in the industry, especially looking at the relationship between the federal government, the NNPCL, independent marketers, and every other player within the industry?
I think as a nation, we need to, if our leaders really has any sense of shame, this should rub off negatively on them. And I wonder why, from the time of Goodluck Jonathan, 8 years of Buhari administration, he was the substantive minister of petroleum resources, which is the tradition President Tinubu has also kept. I don't know why they cannot talk directly to Nigerians. Look, the point is this. If they said they have products, and at the same time they are hoeing, it's not like IPMAN people are the ones that are saying, unless you pay us, we are withdrawing our services, we are not going to carry products from the tank farms to our retail outlets. So why should there be scarcity? You are bringing about 6 billion indebtedness. Why did this indebtedness, how did it come about in the first instance? NNPC has been the sole importer of fuel into Nigeria for some time now. I'm not sure there are any other players that have been licensed, particularly since the flotation of the Naira. I'm not sure there have been any other persons that have been licensed to bring in products. But even if there are set rules. The president said subsidy is gone. Up to today, they said subsidy is gone. But we know that the landing cost, which they put at about between 1,002 1,003, if the landing cost to Apapa or to Wharf or to Tinkan Island is 1,002 or 1,003, and you have not loaded, you have not even moved the products from that Tinkan Island or Apapa Wharf or from wherever, you have not moved it to the tank farms. It is from the tank farms you now supply the retail outlets. Then you talk about trucking. The pipelines have been vandalized. During the time of Buhari, former Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, said they were spending an average of 20 billion annually to fix to repair the pipelines. But yes, these pipelines has never transported any products for ages. So it tells you about the corruption and corrupt practices in that sector. Now we are told that Port Harcourt Refinery was going to start producing PMS by August. In fact, Mele Kyari was swearing by the name of his grandparents that August deadline will not fail. But we are in September as Port Harcourt started to produce. So these are the convoluted and confusing situations we have found ourselves. Nobody is saying the whole truth. They are just being clever by half, telling us half truth here, misinformation here, disinformation there. And what matters most to Nigerians is for this product to be available so that we can get on with our lives. If you recall, Malam, when the president addressed the nation on August 4, 2024, which was last month, in the course of the End Battle Governance protest, the president he was very emphatic that there is an energy transition for Nigeria from PMS and other petroleum products to CNG, that the compressed natural gas is the game changer. We will be saving 2 trillion naira every month from what is used to import refined petroleum products. Now, it's about 1 month since he made that commitment that we will start seeing the CNG. After that, they made a very show of unveiling 20 CNG buses during one of the Federal Executive Council meetings. None of it, I don't know, you can contradict me. I don't know if any of these CNG buses is already on Abuja roads. I don't know if they are on any of Nigerian roads. So if that CNG is the game changer, if that's where the president wants us to move on to, then let them flood the market with the CNG buses so that we know that, okay, we should forget about PMS and about other petroleum products. But all this whole idea of Dangote refinery will start producing PMS September. This is September now. We are waiting the rollout of Dangote refinery PMS production. Right. But what has happened? What is the state of play in Port Harcourt? Why was the August deadline not kept with? Because until when we have solved all these posers, we will not get to the bottom of why there is perpetual fuel scarcity, in spite of the purported removal of the subsidy, and then all this whole idea of, okay, we are transiting to CNG, don't worry, we have given 10 billion to every state to procure CNG buses. Okay. Whether we have CNG buses, it doesn't mean that we should forego or that everybody will transit to CNG. Even cooking gas now, 12.5 kilogram of cooking gas in my hood is about 16,000 naira. Is that not even more expensive per kilogram than the PMS, which is still under 1,000 naira? Because if I have to buy a kilogram of compressed natural gas at over 1,000 naira, is that economically more cheaper? Is it cheaper for me than to stay with PMS that is still under 1,000 naira? Right. So these are some of the posers. So we need clarity from the authorities, particularly from the NNPCL and the other key players within the oil and gas sector.
Yeah. Okay. Since we have one of them, which I believe is very critical to this conversation, let's pose the question then to the IPMAN president. Can you confirm the application or non-application of subsidy? Is subsidy really gone in Nigeria today?
Well, according to what Mr. President has announced, he said the subsidy has gone, and the same thing applied to the GMD NNPC. He said there is no subsidy. So if this government official can be able to announce that there is no subsidy, we independent marketers, there is no way we can say there is subsidy because we are not importers. We have not been importing this PMS. It's only NNPC is importing the product to the country. So since they say there is no subsidy, nobody can say there is subsidy. Yeah. So that is the question.
So Alaji, to answer, to put it more succinctly and clearly, you are saying that the monies the government used to pay you before to keep the prices at a particular rate no longer comes to you. You no longer get a dime from the government to keep oil prices at any particular rate. You're allowed to sell it at cost-reflective rates.
Well, in fact, you know, you have listened to what the NNPC they have been saying. Even them, they say there is no subsidy, but they say they have a place where they can be able to balance the price. So they are balancing the price according to what they have been saying. So we two marketers, we believe with what they have been saying because no any independent petroleum marketers that is enjoying any subsidy for so many numbers of years. Nobody is enjoying the subsidy.
Okay, let's talk about the point that was raised earlier about this perceived lack of integrity or accountability. Nigerians feel like they're being lied to, that somebody is not telling them the whole truth. As someone who is not just an industry player, but a party in the conversation, what do you think Nigerians need to understand about the reality on ground?
Nigerians, and all of us, we know our major problem is corruption. And then there is no proper transparency in doing things. So all this thing has to be checkmate. So that is the issue. And I know it's not something that is above the government to check and checkmate what is really going on. But all what I know, we independent petroleum marketers, we didn't participate in the subsidy, and we don't normally participate in importation. So we realize we depend on the NNPC supply. If they supply product to us, then we carry it to our filling station and sell.
Yeah. What can you tell us about your negotiations with the Dangote refinery? I mean, that has some potential to ease the burden when it comes to Nigeria's energy crisis. What more can you tell us? Because you have been in negotiations with him over the past couple of months. Where are you right now with those negotiations?
Well, it's a welcome development for Dangote to have this kind of a very large refinery in the country. And we independent marketers, we are supporting him to see that actually he started production, because we know by the time when he started production, at least, even if there is no any change of price, at least there will be availability of the product in the country.
Mr. Gideojo, let's circle back to some of that corruption within the system that the IPMAN president was alluding to. Does it all make sense now? A couple of weeks back, Dangote was raving about some of the irregularities, attempts to undermine the operations of one of the largest refineries in the world. Give me your thoughts about whether all of this that is coming to light right now is making sense. The allegations about some people within the NNPCL owning refineries in Malta, for instance, as opposed to supporting commitments to get our refineries back online, whether it's Port Harcourt, Warri, or Kaduna, and all of these things. Does it all make sense to you now while we are in this cul-de-sac?
It still does not, I mean, we still need a forum to get all the posers answered by the Ministry of Petroleum Resources and the agencies under them, whether it's NNPCL or the midstream, whatever, and then the downstream. The question, and I see external sabotage in all that is happening. Recall that David Uday, I think he applied his trade abroad, recently posted on Twitter or on X that he was being recruited for 800,000 naira to write damaging article about Dangote refinery by some international interest group who wants to just demonize that complex, make it look like it's producing substandard product or that is inefficient and all of that. And I don't think we should take that lightly. Aside from that, up till now, the latest report I read from Dangote is that the crude oil is still being sold to Dangote through an intermediary by the international oil companies. And that these agents, these intermediaries sell $2 to $4 above per barrel, above the norm, above the midstream agencies agreed terms. So it's a deliberate ploy to make sure that they frustrate Dangote out of business, so that Nigeria will continue to import refined petroleum products from the Western world to keep their own factories in business. Whereas $20 billion complex of Dangote refinery, they just want it to be idle. Because why, for God's sake, Malam Ahmed, why should Dangote have to go to Brazil, to US to be importing crude oil into Nigeria? Why, when we have all these IOCs operating in Nigeria, including the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, and ordinarily should be able to supply as much crude as would be desired by Dangote, if we want to forego and cut our loss with all these government-owned refineries. Because obviously, this powerful interest group, which people like Isa Yuguda has alluded to in one of his interviews, I don't know whether you have watched that interview on a sister station, where Isa Yuguda says some cabal, they are frustrating efforts to make Nigeria self-sufficient in refined petroleum products. And it is looking like so. We went and borrowed, after over $25 billion we have sunk into turnaround maintenance of our 4 ailing refineries. We went in 2018, I think, to now borrow additional $1.5 billion to fix the Port Harcourt refinery. We were told that this Port Harcourt refineries was going to be ready by December 2022. December 2022 came, they said, by first quarter of 2023. First quarter of 2023, they told us in second quarter of 2023. Then, when this association came, they said by December 2023. Now, the sixth promise was the one that was not kept by Mele Kyari, that Dangote, that the Port Harcourt refinery was going to start producing by August 2024. So if it doesn't look like there is a sabotage, all these things, the selling above the normal price to Dangote, the fact that David Udeyi said some interest group wanted to recruit him to write damaging reports about Dangote refinery, the fact that Port Harcourt refinery, after so many scheduled dates for resumption of production, have failed to meet those dates. Does it not look like some powerful interests within Nigeria and outside of the shores of Nigeria are hell-bent to make sure that Nigeria continue to depend on importation of refined petroleum products? That's why up till now, this September, we are not sure whether Dangote will start producing PMS. If it start producing, will it be sustainable, or will it be just for a limited period and then it will tell you, oh, I don't have more crude oil to refine, I have to go to China to go and bring in crude oil. Why should that happen? We are told that there is a forward purchase of our crude oil under the Buhari administration, which nobody seems to understand why that should have happened in the first place. What you have not even produced, crude oil that you have not produced, we were told has been sold for years ahead. And we are all paying the price. So how do you want to move the needle of the economy forward? How do you want the economy to progress if you are still subjecting your oil and gas sector to international vagaries? Because it's like we are not in control, whether of our crude oil or of our refined petroleum products. We are 100% dependent on some foreign interest with their Nigerian collaborators. So when you watch that Issa Yuguda's interview on a sister station, you look at what Dangote has been talking about, the gaffe committed by Alhaji Ahmed Farouk of mainstream the petroleum, where he was saying that Dangote is even producing dirty diesel. And when you hear all of this, it tells you that it's like some powerful interests just want to continue to enslave Nigeria and continue to make us right, to make sure that we are never going to be self-sufficient in refined petroleum products. And Mr. President I don't know why he could not deal with these situations decisively, because he must have held that position of Minister of Petroleum Resources for a reason. The last time we have had substantive Minister of Petroleum Resources in Nigeria was when Dezani Alison Madueke was Minister of Petroleum Resources under Goodluck Jonathan. From that time till now, which is almost going to 10 years now, we have been having our president doubling as the Minister of Petroleum Resources. Then why have we not been able to resolve this issue of turnaround maintenance of this our ailing refineries, in spite of billions of dollars that we have sunk into it?
A very pertinent question there. But bringing back Maigandi into the conversation, listening to Mr. Jideojo's assessment as an industry player, what is your reaction to some of the concerns he raised about sabotage, whether it's from within the country or outside of the country, involving government agencies and other players within the industry? Do you think that there is some validity to these concerns?
Well, I don't want to go where Jide is going because he is a professional in the field. I don't know where he gets his data, but just try to understand me clearly. We independent petroleum marketers, normally, we fully rely on the NNPC supply. So our major challenge is just what we want a situation to be. We want to see the availability of this product in the tank farm, either through the NNPC or through the private depots, so that we can be able to purchase this product and discharge in our filling station and sell to the motorists. So I don't want to go deeply on accusing because I doesn't have much knowledge on that. So all my knowledge is how to source the product through the NNPC, and then we carry it to our filling station and sell. So this is where we stand.
And looking at, I know obviously because you do have relationships that you need to maintain. The Vice President of the Dangote Industries Limited recently said that they are testing the product, which is PMS, and they will subsequently, it will start flowing into the product tanks. He also specified that Nigeria's state-owned oil company, the NNPCL, as we've been talking about, is going to be the sole buyer of most of its product. And he says if nobody is willing to buy it in here, they're going to obviously sell it to other countries who are in demand of these products. Let me get your take about whether you have issues, logistical issues, with NNPCL still being the main importer or distributor of this commodity. Do you think the NNPC is doing a good job managing the distribution aspect of PMS in this country?
To say that you left only NNPCL to be the major distributor, because let them allow the other marketers to participate in terms of distribution change so that there will be market competition. Because if the whole marketers participate in the distribution and importation of this petroleum product, so I think it will be better for the country so that there will be market competition.
So when you hear people talk about selling off these assets, these national assets, the Port Harcourt refinery, the Warri refinery, the four ailing refineries that we do have. What are your thoughts about whether this could be a solution? Have you pondered on that idea? Do you support it?
Well, in fact, we all what we know, if they wanted to sell the assets, we independent petroleum marketers, we too we are going to participate in the bidding. So I think if they prefer to sell it, it's okay. We too we can participate and see how we can be able to get the assets.
And what about giving it to private players to run these refineries? Do you think it's also a step in the right direction? And of course, in that aspect, do you think local refining is ultimately the solution to this headache that we've been dealing with for such a very long time?
Yes, quite all right. Local refining is the best, because if all our refineries are functioning, there is no need of any importation. All this logistic problem that they have been talking about, if our refineries are functioning, you cannot get all such kind of the issues. And honestly, sincerely speaking, if the whole refineries are working, definitely we are expecting that the price of this PMS will come down.
Right. Okay. Mr. Jidojo, we started the conversation by pointing out to the call made by PDP's Atiku Abubakar, who was talking about listing the NNPC on the stock exchange. We understand that, it's supposed to be a business venture that makes money now for Nigeria and for every other investor that has his, shares in the company. What are your thoughts about that? And do you also feel like the leadership needs to go? Because there have been so many calls, especially from the onset of the Tinubu administration. A lot of people thought, the leadership has to go. There has to be a new thinking, a different thinking to address this unending question of fuel shortages and price hikes. What are your thoughts about these questions?
I think I'm 100% in support of what Atiku Abubakar said, that the NNPC should be listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Also, if you go by the Petroleum Industry Act, the PIA has said that NNPC has ceased to be government-owned enterprises and has become a private company. And as a private company that will now trade and compete, I think it would be best to be owned by majority of Nigerians who should be able to buy into that company. But I think you put a question to Abdullahi Maigandi earlier on, and this flow from my own opinion is also that the government should not just hold on to these ailing refineries, whether it's Port Harcourt, Warri, or Kaduna. We have to, no matter how long you have gone in the wrong direction, you must turn back and re-strategize if you want to end up at your desired destination. And that's why what President Olusegun Obasanjo, I don't know, Malam Ahmed, whether you listen to Obasanjo's recent interview about Nigeria's oil and gas sector, what he was told when he was president, and while he sold off those refineries to Blue Star Consortium that was then led by Alhaji Aliko Dangote way back in 2007. Unfortunately, our Nigerian labor leaders and labor unions kicked against that sale and insisted that these 4 refineries should not be sold off. They are our common patrimony. They should be, they can be turned around. Now, between 2007 and 2020 and 2024, that's more like about 15 years or roughly about that. And we have not been able to get any of these refineries to work, whether at quarter capacity or half capacity or full capacity, which means that what made former President Obasanjo to sell it or to sell up those refineries then was a justifiable reason. And I think our Nigerian labor union leaders should now apologize to Nigerians for kicking against the sales of these refineries. But better late than never. Let's cut our loss and stop pumping more money into these refineries. Now that we have Dangote refinery that is 600.
Do you think we'll be faring any better if our refineries were in private hands all these years?
I believe it will have been better run if they were in private hands. Now we know that our only saving grace right now is Dangote refineries. If we allow it to work, if we remove the sabotage and all the other obstacles, if we allow it to be run and we fully cooperated with the company, we will all reap the benefit, because it's not just Dangote refinery, but there is also the petrochemical complex to it, where there are all the byproducts from the refineries will be channeled. All the petroleum jellies can be produced, and more. It will create multiple businesses. Many companies will come up, many cottage businesses will come up that will be doing all the lubricants, all the petroleum jellies. Those industries will still be able to feed up, including the fertilizer company that is also there. So if we fully cooperate with Dangote, even if all the 4 government-owned refineries, if we are to sell them off, or if we even abandon them, we will still be self-sufficient in refined petroleum products. Just that the pricing, they need to agree on proper pricing. We cannot be Dangote cannot be buying crude from Nigeria government at dollar rate, and you expect him to sell at naira rate. Even if he does the exchange rate, it will be too high for Nigerians to afford. So that's what would be what I would suggest ultimately. But we need to take a quick decision about these 4 refineries that have been a drain pipe on our very scarce resources due to politics, corruption, and sabotage.
Okay, just before we go, a very quick one from you. Do you think the NNPC is a major part of the problem or a part of the solution?
For me, NNPC is part of the problem, because there are too many powerful interests within that organization that are self-serving and more interested in personal aggrandizement. Okay. Of course, I've read articles of those who said NNPCL is just like a cash cow to various successive administration, where they can get slush money. Okay. Money that they will never account for. They can get it to do whatever they like. So in as far as you still have elements within NNPC that are ready to open the till to government officials to come and take as much as they want, right, then...
Okay. We're going to have to leave it there for now. Mr. Jide Ojo, as always, thank you most kindly for your insightful contribution. And of course, a very big thank you to the IPMAN President, Alhaji Abubakar Maigandi Shatima. Thank you to both of you for joining the conversation and adding your value on daily politics tonight. And as always, thank you most kindly for joining us. Feel free to be a part of our next edition, coming to you live and exclusive as always on Trust TV. You can also do well to follow us across our social media platforms to stay in touch towards this particular edition and many other editions on our website at trusttv.com. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. From myself and the rest of the team, I'll see you next time. Good evening.